Right now, on to the point. Democratic candidates for California governor competing for endorsements as the state's Democratic Party convention begins.
We're taking you inside the California Democratic Party state convention to hear from some of the candidates that are running to be California's next governor.
A community in mourning.
We are all experiencing a sense of loss.
Family, friends, and communities remember the 6 women killed in the Nevada County Avalanche. The Supreme Court rules President Trump broke the law, the landmark decision on global tariffs, and what it means for your wallet. On the back roads, how a box office bomb helped build a town and left a movie set in the woods. Tonight, an update on the recovery efforts in the Castle Peak area, the scene of Tuesday's deadly avalanche. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on To the Point. I'm Becca Habiger. We're also talking about today's Supreme Court ruling on tariffs and day one of the state Democratic convention. But we start with breaking news. 2 skiers died today at Heavenly Ski Resort. According to the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, they were 2 separate accidents at Heavenly's Boulder Lodge. That's on the Nevada side of the resort. The incidents, they say, are not connected, and there is no known relationship between the 2 people. No word yet on the causes of death. As soon as we get any new information, we will let you know. Today, crews resumed their efforts to recover the bodies of 8 people killed in Tuesday's avalanche in the Castle Peak area north of I-80 near Donner Summit. But crews say that 1 person is still missing. Now, days of dangerous weather has kept crews away from the avalanche site. This is new video of the recovery efforts today. The Nevada County Sheriff's Office did an aerial search of the area to assess the conditions. They want to see if they'll need to do any avalanche mitigation before the victims can be recovered. And tonight, we're learning more about those victims. Families have identified 6 of them so far. They are Carrie Atkin, Liz Claybaugh, and Caroline Sekhar, the sister of Liz Claybaugh, Danielle Keatley, Kate Morse, and Kate Vitt. Their families say the skiers had experience in the backcountry and they deeply respected the mountains. Family, friends, and the community are mourning these women. They lived in the Bay Area, the Truckee area, and in Idaho. Tonight, ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen is hearing from Truckee's mayor and neighbors of those killed. She joins us now live in studio.
Becca, as crews are doing everything they can to retrieve the remaining victims, the Truckee community is grieving. Truckee's mayor told me this morning that the focus is to make sure people impacted by this have the space to heal and come together to support one another.
We are all experiencing a sense of loss and fear and anxiety.
The reality of 8 lives lost and an additional presumed dead during this week's avalanche in Nevada County is something Truckee Mayor Anna Klovstad says has been difficult on her town.
I feel incredibly grateful for the community that's coming together to support each other in this tragedy.
The families of the 6 women killed identify them as mothers, wives, and friends. The families say the group was experienced and were traveling together, coming from the Bay Area, Idaho, and Truckee-Tahoe area. Cheryl Longman says her neighbor, Kate Vitt, was one of the skiers killed.
Vibrant, friendly person, devoted to her kids. I'd see them. She'd walk them to school in the morning.
Carlene Cullen recalls happier times with Vitt and her family.
She was just out there with her kids and getting them hustled off to school and after-school activities, and she just seemed like a super friendly, great mom.
Jen Wofford is still trying to process the loss of her neighbor, Caroline Sekhar, who is also the sister of another victim, Liz Claybaugh.
She was just a wonderful human being who loved life and was just full of love and just a very vibrant person. One of the nicest people I've ever known.
As grieving is underway, the Nevada County Sheriff's Office is doing avalanche mitigation to recover the victims.
They are extraordinary individuals that put their own safety at risk in order to do these rescues, and they do it over and over and over again. So we hope to honor those that were participated in this search and rescue, as we have done so with others.
And the town of Truckee will be holding a community vigil on Sunday. Mayor Klovstad says there will be resources for anyone who needs help and support during this tragedy. More details will be posted on our website at abc10.com. Becca.
Jeannie, thank you. And you can stay up to date with our latest coverage of this deadly avalanche. Download the ABC 10 app. It is free to download to your TV. Well, now to San Francisco, where California Democrats are gathering for the state Democratic convention. In the crowded race to be California's next governor, these 9 candidates are considered the leading Democrats. 8 of them are competing this weekend to get the state party's endorsement ahead of the June primary election, which requires 60% or more of the delegates' votes. Now, San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan jumped in the race too late to get endorsed. California Democratic Party Chair Rusty Hicks acknowledges it's possible, because there are so many candidates, that no gubernatorial candidate gets formal party support before June. And he says he's mindful it could actually be 2 Republicans moving on in November, given California's open primary system in which the top 2 vote getters in June, regardless of party, advance to the runoff in November.
I'm not going to open up the playbook today, but, I think the party leaders, myself included, are prepared to do what's required to ensure that we are best positioned to win in November.
Hicks says the party is bracing for what will be a tricky 2026 election cycle to flip the U.S. House of Representatives blue. To the Point host Alex Bell is at the convention in San Francisco tonight. She caught up with a couple of the gubernatorial candidates.
Well, this weekend in San Francisco at the California Democratic Party State Convention, the candidates running for California's governor are really fighting to make their case this weekend as to why they should be trusted to lead the state. So we're going to be sitting down with candidates. We already sat down with several today, and I wanted to ask them one question in particular. What is one tough decision that they would be willing to make that other governors haven't made yet? Here's what they had to say.
A lot of people are talking about whether or not the state should get involved in approving housing projects when they get delayed at the local level. I don't know how a state agency would be able to work within our 58 counties and all of our cities to permit a project, but I think that state government has to be tougher on cities and counties that are not building.
What is one hard choice that you would make that other governors have avoided?
We're going to make sure that we can guarantee people access to health care and not leave certain families out. Right now, there's talk that the undocumented workers in our state would lose their health coverage because of these deficits that we face. I'm not going to tell a family, you cannot see a doctor, take your child to the hospital, simply because our budget deficit means that you are going to have to take the hit. That's not right.
And again, the candidates will be here all weekend campaigning, really making their case. We have had several interviews already with many of them talking about issues from affordability to homelessness, as well as the high-speed rail project. So make sure you stick with our continuing coverage here in San Francisco to hear more of their responses. For now, in San Francisco at the convention, I'm Alex Bell.
And ABC 10's Alex Bell and Jenny Ha will be at the convention all weekend. You can follow their reports on air and on the free ABC 10 TV streaming app. President Trump delivers his State of the Union address on Tuesday. ABC 10 will have live coverage throughout the night, starting at 4 p.m. for pre-address coverage and your local news and weather. The State of the Union address begins at 6 p.m. Then join us for post-address analysis and your local news on a special edition of ABC 10 News at 10, followed by late news tonight at 11. Still ahead on To the Point, the U.S. Supreme Court deals a blow to President Trump's economic agenda, the landmark ruling on his sweeping global tariffs. And later on the back roads, a trip to a rural town that once hosted Hollywood and a young Clint Eastwood.
We're expecting near freezing temperatures again for tonight, plus what we can expect for the weekend forecast.
Well, roads are open again after the massive snowfall the last few days covered those roads, making them nearly impossible to traverse. Now, this is a live look at eastbound I-80 at Donner Summit. You can see traffic is moving nice and fast and clear. ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods joins us now. Monica, this is like a brief respite before another storm system comes through.
Yeah, you're right about that. It looked icy up there, though. Woo, that is going to be a cold situation up there in the high country. We'll talk about a cold weather alert in just a moment here. That's first up on the list of what we're tracking. Next up, it is a dry weekend, but as Becca was alluding to, another storm system on the way. So this is going to be the area once again again, that's going to be the focus. Cold weather advisory through 10 a.m. tomorrow. We're talking about people, pets, plants, bring everything inside. This is going to be dangerously cold weather tonight into early tomorrow morning. For the valley, we're just above that threshold. We were sitting close to the freezing mark this morning, but tomorrow morning, just a little bit warmer. Still cold. We're in the 30s, but not quite as cold as where we were this morning. Temperatures are already starting to drop. We're in the 40s to near 50 for the valley with our live look outside on this Friday evening. Tahoe right now 25 degrees. That sunset was at 5:50. A pretty decent looking day despite the fact we had a lot of cloud cover. Highs managed to make it into the 50s for the valley, 40s and 50s for the foothills, and in the 30s for the high country with dry weather. Now we are going to turn our attention quickly back to next week with a weather impact alert. But over the weekend, it's going to be chilly for the mornings, but otherwise just a mix of sun and clouds. No weather impact alerts in place. And this is great news, too. We picked up 2.5 to 4 inches of rain in the valley with this last storm, 5 to almost 7 inches of rain for the foothills. And then for the Sierra snowpack, 5 to almost 10 feet of snow. We need a break. We need a breather. Here's the catch. The next storm that comes in, much different snow line, 7,000 to 8,000 feet. That puts us way closer to the pass level than, say, the last storm system, which brought that snow way down the hill. Under the ridge of high pressure, we're going to keep things dry over the weekend. It's not until next Tuesday that we start to really bring in the better bulk of that rain. Likely warmer and likely drier, though, as we head into the beginning of March. So we get a bit of a breather here by the beginning of next month. Highs for tomorrow after morning lows in the single digits will be close to 40 for the high country, 40s and 50s down low. Across the coast, we're looking at highs right about 60. Beautiful day in the Bay Area, albeit a little bit chilly for this time of year. Same for the valley, capital region and northern San Joaquin Valley. Morning lows in the 30s. Highs will warm into the upper 50s to near 60. Now we will see quite a change by the time the next weather system rolls around with much warmer temperatures. That's what's going to drive up that snow line. Highs will stay in the 60s Sunday and Monday. Weather impact alert Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we're back to the dry weather and warmer conditions as well into the following weekend.
Oh, I'm looking forward to those warmer temperatures. Thanks so much, Monica. Well, coming up next, a major Supreme Court showdown over the U.S. economy, the landmark ruling on tariffs, and why experts warn they may not be going away. Plus, a transformation behind prison walls. A new learning center is now open at San Quentin. The Supreme Court ruled today Trump's sweeping global tariffs are illegal. It's a decision reverberating throughout the global economy and a blow to President Donald Trump's economic agenda and foreign policy. Here's Karen Kafa with the latest and what it means for consumers.
In the most significant case involving the U.S. economy to reach the justices in decades, the Supreme Court ruled that President Donald Trump violated federal law when he unilaterally imposed sweeping tariffs around the globe. The 6-3 majority opinion written by Chief Justice John Roberts emphasized that the power to enact such tariffs must be clearly granted by Congress, and the emergency authority Trump attempted to rely on falls short. The decision delivering a blow to Trump's second-term economic agenda and foreign policy.
This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic national security.
Experts noting the court only struck down one avenue for Trump's tariff plans.
We shouldn't think that the topic of tariffs is now going away somehow, even beyond potential lawsuits, because the president has any number of other ways that he can continue to try and push for tariffs and impact, levies. So we'll be watching for that.
For consumers, immediate relief from the decision is unlikely, economists say, because the court did not give any guidance on what should happen to the tariff revenue already collected.
Even if refunds are ultimately issued, they're not going to be issued to consumers. They're going to be issued to firms. And then you're depending on firms ultimately passing those back to the consumer.
As of December 14th, federal data showed the government had collected $134 billion in revenue from the tariffs that were struck down. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
California has been fighting the Trump administration's tariffs for nearly a year now. Today, Attorney General Rob Bonta celebrated the U.S. Supreme Court decision.
Today's a good day for the rule of law. Today is a good day for affordability, something that Americans and Californians have been screaming for.
Well, a new learning center is now open at the San Quentin Rehabilitation Center. Back in 2023, Governor Gavin Newsom announced his vision to transform the nation's most innovative rehabilitation facility. Here are some before and after photos. The new 81,000 square foot learning center has college classrooms, podcast studios, even a cafe. The governor said today it is about making communities safer. We also got reaction from a Republican lawmaker.
It was always about public safety. It was always about community safety. It was just about pragmatism. It was about dealing with the fundamental fact that 95% of people in this system are going to go back into your neighborhood. And what kind of neighbors do you want them to be?
Certainly, rehabilitation has to be a part of the corrections system. And yes, that can help with people that get out. But again, not at the expense of holding offenders accountable for what they did, number one, and not giving allowances to allow people to get out of prison.
The 18-month project was completed on time and on budget at $239 million, funded through a lease revenue bond. Next, we're taking a trip on the back roads to a movie set still popular, even though the movie itself was a flop. You never know what you'll see on the back roads. Tonight, John Bartel takes us to Eastern Oregon to visit the film site of a little-known musical starring Clint Eastwood.
But suddenly my words reach someone else's ear.
You may not know this, but Clint Eastwood was in a musical, and he sang multiple songs.
Then I got gold fever.
This is Paint Your Wagon, a 1969 musical Western comedy with a star-studded cast and a big budget.
They started at 10 million, ended up at 20. I think it grossed 30. They expected better than that. It was considered one of the biggest flops ever.
Since the release of Paint Your Wagon, there have been much bigger Hollywood flops, but if you ask Larry Morrison, the real benefactors of this costly film were the folks that live in rural Baker County, Oregon.
It was a huge deal for the town, just a huge thing for the town. A lot of money came into town.
Larry's a Baker City local, history lover, and a former laborer who, at 18 years old, helped build the elaborate set pieces for Paint Your Wagon in the summer of 1968.
Did you have any idea about what the movie was like?
No, I did. Never even heard about it. You know, I got a call to go to work, and so I went out there and signed in.
Paint Your Wagon is a famously strange gold rush musical where Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin sing their way through frontier life, share a domestic arrangement, and wallow in mud-soaked mischief. This movie left such an impression on Baker County that a corner of the Baker Heritage Museum is dedicated to the film and some of its expensive set pieces.
There weren't computers where you could, take an AI and take a town, so they actually made a model of it. And this model here cost $72,000 in those days.
There were many reasons the film went over budget, but one major factor was the location.
You used to drive up here in the bus every day?
Every day in the bus.
In the script, Paint Your Wagon was set in California, but the filmmakers decided to make the movie in Oregon, in the middle of Wallowa-Whitman National Forest, which required hauling hundreds of cast and crew members down a bumpy, steep forest road, 45 miles from the comforts of Baker City.
But this is gorgeous. This is just, I can see why they wanted to film here.
How could they say no when they saw that?
Yeah.
From Baker County, Oregon, the film site of Paint Your Wagon, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the backroads.
And you can find more Bartel's Backroads destinations on the ABC 10 TV streaming app. They are all under the Shows tab. Scroll down to Travel, Bartel's Backroads. download the free app to your TV. Well, we're going to take one last live look at the Sierra tonight. Roads are open again after the massive snowfall the last few days covered them, making travel nearly impossible. So if you're headed up the hill this weekend, please be safe. Well, thanks so much for watching us and inviting us into your home. If you have something you think we should be looking into, please reach out to us. You can email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. And remember, To the Point doesn't end here. To watch stories featured on the show, you can download our free ABC 10 streaming app to your TV. Have a great and safe night and a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.